All right, let's get started. Sorry to keep you all waiting. This is the December 2nd, 2020 hearing for the Executive Appointments Committee. I am Councilmember Chris Burnett, Vice Chair of the committee. Also joining us this morning are Councilmember Pat Clark, member of the committee, Councilmember Z. Cohen, member of the committee, Councilmember Isaac Slifer, member of the committee, and we're also joined by Matt Stegman from the mayor's office, Dr. Nick McAuliffe, Council President's office, and Marguerite Curran is our committee staffer and keeps us going every day. Right. Today we will review the nomination for EA 20-0287 for Tyler Adamson to be a member of the Baltimore City Citizens Advisory Commission for Public Safety. Before we get started, asking everyone to mute yourself when you're not speaking, identify yourself before you speak slowly and clearly, and when you're finished, please mute yourself again so that the broadcast goes as planned. I do not see anyone, not see the council president on, but Mr. Stegman or is anyone else like to offer remarks before we go to Mr. Adamson?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. This is Matt Stegman from the Mayor's Office of Government Relations. Mr. Adamson is a nominee for the Public Safety Advisory Commission. As y'all may recall from the many other recent confirmation hearings you have had for members of this commission, these are folks who are nominated by the city council president and then appointed by the mayor to advise on as the commission would imply, advise on a variety of public safety issues. So thank you for your consideration today.
Okay, thank you. All right, we can get going. Tyler Adamson, sorry about that. Please state your name, tell us your background and interest in the position, share your vision for the commission, and after you're finished, the committee may have a few questions for you.
Great. Thank you, Councilman. No worries about everyone messes up my name. It's okay. So my name is Tyler Adamson. Thank you for having me. Thank you to the members of the committee. A little about me. I'm originally from the Northwest. I am a public health professional by training, epidemiologist to be specific. And my interest in the position stems from three different things. One, recognizing policing and public safety as a public health issue, and understanding that these things are interconnected by so many different things related to economics and social factors and social realities. Two, ensuring that decisions and initiatives that we choose to pursue are grounded in data. Many of the things we sort of think of when we think of public safety and policing are not actually backed up by data. So sort of allowing evidence and data to guide our decisions and how we decide to pursue efforts to ensure safety for our communities. And number three, just as a queer man of color, just understanding that there are many people in our communities who are unfairly and unjustly targeted simply because of who they are, because of institutional racism and other systemic issues that need to be considered when we're pursuing initiatives and efforts around safety and how to improve public safety. So thank you again for having me, and I'm open to any questions.
Awesome. Councilmember Clark, saw your hand go up. You have a question?
Yes.
Nominee? Go for it.
First of all, I have a statement to make, which is this is a gentleman who lives in my district, the 14th City Council District. So I'm very proud that we have a nominee from that district on this commission that's being put together. And I've read through the resume and been blown away by the credentials, but based Mr. Or Dr., I guess, Adamson, can you hear me? I have a question.
Yeah, I'm not doctor yet, but thank you. Appreciate that.
I can't believe you're not a doctor yet. You know everything else, but
Thank you, though.
but king of the world. Wonderful resume. And I have a couple questions. Over and over again, especially at the beginning of your career, you're publishing articles for the Urban Indian Health Institute. What is your connection there? I mean, you also publish every place else in the world now, but I see you started out that way, and that seems to be your roots. Where are you from? What's up? What's your connection?
Yeah, so I'll save the long version for later. But essentially, I grew up in a majority white family as a person of color, and sort of still continue to figure out exactly what that means, what that looks like, and my own sort of connection to my community and my culture. And so the suspicion is that there is some indigenous heritage. And so that was a way for me to get connected. And I still remain connected to the Urban Indian Health Institute in the Northwest, some stuff around here, as well as indigenous communities around the country and around the world. I was born in Georgia, actually, but grew up outside of Portland and went to school in Seattle. So thank you for your question.
Something based on what you just said, and then I have a quick question. Well, let me ask my quick question first, and then I'll ask you like a policy question. Amongst your writings, you wrote something about tone policing, TONE policing. What is that?
So,
do you remember?
Yeah. So tone policing is sort of like I think the easiest example to explain it with is when someone, like a Black woman, is saying, okay, you're talking really angrily. And instead we're policing their tone as if it's any different than like treating someone differently simply because of who they are and how they express themselves.
Oh, wow.
And so what happens is we typically become critical of the like volume or emotion associated with it versus like what they're saying. And that's typically used as a way to sort of like invalidate or to challenge someone instead of actually having a conversation of like what the content of their words are, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes all the sense in the world.
So just as a way to sort of recognize that tone policing is, one, discriminatory in my opinion, but two, that oftentimes we instead rely on that as a way to sort of invalidate and challenge someone instead of what they're actually saying.
Tone deaf.
It's easier to challenge someone for like being angry.
That's really...
Oops, sorry, I interrupted you.
That's really important. Okay, now here's a quick policy question, and then I'll leave you alone. And thank you for agreeing to serve on this commission.
Yes.
During our protest period here in Baltimore City, we all council members received hundreds of emails, and a lot of those emails talked about taking money from the police department and transferring it to a unit that would be an emergency response unit, but not police so much as professionals in mental illness, in trauma, but they would be funded as a separate like agency and respond to those 1/3 of calls that police get that they respond to, but have never been prepared to cope with. Off the top of your head, I mean, is that something that you think is worth the discussion of the commission you're about to join?
Absolutely. I think it's such a hot topic at this time, but I think as we sort of like to my introduction is like, what does the evidence say? And We know that oftentimes police are sent to police poverty, like crime is a symptom, or crime and other things are a symptom of poverty, right? But at the end of the day, what is the most effective way to help these people? People in mental health crises, and other things like that. Police are not trained to deal with those things, and in my opinion, they shouldn't be required to do that. I think we've sort of over time have come to resort to police as a way to intervene, but it's pretty clear that that is an effective way of doing it. So how do we sort of reimagine what that looks like and allow professionals who are trained and who work in these areas to sort of respond to these things and complement what the efforts of the police are doing? I don't necessarily ascribe to the complete defund the police because I don't think that's realistic, but we need to rethink the way that we sort of approach policing and intervention and community engagement, because these things sort of compound on one another. And when people feel safe and engaged with and comfortable in their communities, they're more less likely to commit crime, be happier, be healthier. You could a myriad of things. And so I think it's part of the conversation. I don't know exactly what that would look like, but I do think it's an important thing to think about moving forward.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And let me just say one last thing. We have in the past, in the police department, had little crews of people that went out with police in the nature of being experts in trauma and mental illness and the like. And basically what happens is it falls off the budget. It falls out of use. It doesn't happen when it's just a program in the police department.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you. I just say that so that I'm pumping this one. But you'll be happy to hear I'm going out of office in a week. So I won't be here to bother you about it, but I'm so proud that you'll be here to bother the rest of us. Thank you.
I appreciate that, Councilwoman. I'll probably still bother you anyway, but thank you.
That's okay. You're my neighbor, actually. Yeah. Thank
Awesome.
you.
No worries. Did any other council members have questions for the nominee? Councilmember Cohen?
Sure. Well, first, thank you for your service. Thanks for moving to Baltimore and bringing a epidemiological approach. I think you will find pretty shared worldview when it comes to seeing violence through a mental health or through a public health lens. On this council, with our incoming mayor and so on, would just put on your radar, Mr. Adamson, that parallel to this commission, there's also the Trauma-Informed Care Task Force that's going to be stood up in the next council. Baltimore is, I think, the first city in the country to legislate trauma-informed care across our city government. And I think we've talked a lot about how the work of this commission potentially intersects with that task force as well. And so I look forward to working with you in that capacity. And I just see a lot of overlap in the work that you're seeking to do here. And, again, just appreciate the approach and the thoughtfulness and, challenging us and our city to really, rethink and reimagine and redefine public safety and use data and use public health. And, as a city that was really ground zero for the war on drugs and for mass incarceration and for some of just the worst experiments in, using the police state to incarcerate our way out of health problems. I think the work is really timely that you're seeking to do, and that Baltimore is really in need of this kind of push. And I think, again, you'll find a lot of support within this council and within the incoming council and the incoming administration. So thanks for what you are endeavoring to do, and please keep pushing.
Thanks, Councilman, and I look forward to working together and collaborating. I think it's a collective effort that we all have to sort of undertake and work towards.
All right. I'd second all of that, and would definitely excited to have you on board. Well, I think so. Looks like the votes are going to be there. You got a lot of support in the committee. We do have to go to public testimony. Marguerite, are there? I don't see anyone on the participants list.
Oh, Mr. Chair, there's no public testimony today.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So we will now go for a vote. Is there a motion recommending Tyler Adamson?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move the adoption of the appointing Mr. Tyler Adamson to this commission.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Moved by Clark, second by Cohen. All right. Councilmember Stokes is absent this morning. I am a yes. Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
Councilmember Cohen.
Yes.
Councilmember Slifer. Councilmember Slifer, he's on. Let's see. One second, let me give him a nudge, y'all. Hold on. All right, I wasn't able to reach him. So fortunately, we're going to have to put him as absent. So I can't hear you, Mary Pat.
We have enough votes right now, though, right?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Yeah.
All right. The motion has passed. The committee will recommend a favorable report for Mr. Adamson's nomination. The nomination will be placed on second reader on Monday, December 7th, 2020. The full council will review and take a vote at that time. On behalf of the mayor and city council of Baltimore, I would like to thank you for your willingness to give your time and effort to the citizens of Baltimore. And there's no other business before the committee, so we are adjourned. Enjoy the rest of your day, y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Adamson.